People in the game know what kind of fight this is. If you look at the Ring magazine, the independent rankings, it's Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Alexander Povetkin. We can't get two, we're fighting number 3.
There's two sides to every story.
When you've got a boxer versus a brawler, it normally sets up for a good fight.
Povetkin is a dangerous fighter. That's not an easy fight. I don't think at all.
This, I believe, against Povetkin is the toughest fight of his career so far.
You want fire and you want glory, but there's a struggle that lies within.
If there's a Muhammad Ali in the heavyweight division now or in the not too distant future, I think it's Anthony Joshua.
In my head and I don't understand how we ended up.
And people are overlooking Povetkin, who AJ's got next. That's the maddest thing you can ever do. Don't write him off.
The champion makes his way to the ring. Ruski Vs Alexander Sasha
Whose side are you on? Whose side are you on? Light and
Throughout history, major stars from every sport have captured the public imagination. Though boxing's world heavyweight champion has always enjoyed a special kind of status, the baddest man on the planet, the toughest man alive, the greatest. However, lacking resistance, the division slowly dried up as a long-reigning supreme champion spent a decade on top. Though over the past few years, after his eventual fall from glory, it has given way to the rise of a new era, which is why today's assortment of heavyweight kings will continue to thrive. Dangerous, menacing, yet all very different.
whose side are you on?
Here we look at the latest development in boxing's most unrelenting division. Joshua versus Povetkin.
Whose side are you on?
Cue a man who is considered the new face of boxing after a brutal yet swift rise to the top of the game.
If you hadn't seen him before and you wondered what the fuss was about, that is what the fuss is about.
6 years ago, he claimed the ultimate accolade as an amateur. Today, Joshua needs very little introduction. Recognized for his brutal demolition jobs, AJ's early career brought back the heavyweight hopes that boxing lacked.
Joshua going to work once again and nails it.
Now, with only one man ever fortunate enough to hear the final bell, Joshua eyes up the ultimate prize as a professional.
Do you want to become undisputed heavyweight champion of the world? 21 professional fights, 6 world championship fights. Does that not show you what route I'm going in?
And whilst his next contest edges him one step closer, even bigger threats lay in wait. On his 22nd fight as a professional, on the 22nd day of the month, the Brit will glare across the ring to a man who, to his Russian fan base, has built a similar reputation to his own.
And he's gone! He's gone! Another right hook from Povetkin, and in the first round, and it's all over!
Built like a bull, Povetkin has rarely taken a step backwards in his career. One of the most experienced, skilled fighters in the division, known for his similarly ruthless beatdowns. Considered his last hurrah, his step up to fight boxing's latest and greatest was inevitable, having sought to fight the best for a solid 13-year professional career. In contrast, Joshua had only just begun boxing aged 18 in 2007. At the same time, Povetkin, having secured an Olympic gold of his own, was 12 fights unbeaten as a pro. Both fighters are renowned for discipline, composure, and straightforwardness, There will be no trash talk, no bad blood. However, much like the Joshua Klitschko fight, inside the ropes is a completely different story. In preparation, both men have brought in dangerous sparring partners for the bout. Joshua has brought in 11-0 Congolese heavyweight Martin Bekole, whilst Povetkin has been mixing it with rising heavyweight prospect Daniel Dubois. Last tipping the scales at 17 stone 4, we can expect the same slimmer and sharper version of Joshua that beat New Zealand's Joseph Parker. Almost a stone lighter, Alexander Povetkin last came into the ring at 16 stone 5 to overcome fellow Brit David Price. Backed by the majority to make it light work on the 22nd of September, it certainly won't be so simple come fight night. With 9, almost 10 years separating the two fighters, despite both having that gold medal to their name, Povetkin boasts over 3 times as many amateur fights and 3 times as many rounds fought as a professional. This doesn't only underline Joshua's lack of experience in comparison, but highlights the way he has steamrolled his way to the top of the sport in short, sweet style.
On my toes, on my P's and Q's and follow my nose to that pot of gold. Leprechauns cry when I roll, follow the leader. Got a lot of hot knowledge to lead you.
Though with 6 knockouts in his last 8 appearances, Povetkin is still as deadly as ever. But will age play a factor in how nimble and active he is during the bout? Before beating Price earlier in the year, the Russian pulled off a unanimous decision win against German-based Christian Hamer in a completely one-sided fight. Povetkin threw plenty of power shots, though ultimately lacked the creativity to put Hamer away. Another clear-cut sign that, unless Joshua goes looking for trouble, a tight guard and smart shot selection should see him cruise to win number 22.
That's going to be an important fight for Povetkin because, you know, he's been up there for a long time, and this is, you could say, his last chance at the apple cart.
A 4-inch height advantage and a 7-inch reach advantage. Joshua's size should be too much for the Russian. However, if he decides to mix it in the center of the ring, it could be disastrous. Even more interestingly, the Brits' promoter Eddie Hearn claimed that we could expect to see a return of the old AJ on fight night.
I think part of him wants to go back to the old crash bang wallop Anthony Joshua, one of the most fearsome punchers in the division with speed to burn.
As much as we could hope for Joshua to revert to his bulldozing tactic, it's more likely we'll see a carbon copy of the Parker fight or the self-labeled boxing finesse. After all, Povetkin has never been knocked out. He avenged all his amateur losses and was only ever outpointed as a professional by the previous heavyweight king, Vladimir Klitschko. Plus, he possesses that single shot stopping power, the same power which left Liverpool's David Price convulsing on the floor back in March. Though not quite as violent as the striking power of Deontay Wilder, it's something which Joshua can't overlook going into the bout. Especially as we saw against White in 2015, and then more recently against Dr. Steelhammer, Joshua can be prone to shots, especially on the way in.
Joshua's in big trouble.
White with the left, Klitschko with the right. Luckily, Joshua's heart and chin have both stood the test so far. In similar style, Povetkin loves to brawl, and when you look back at how well he dismantled the pair's mutual opponent, Carlos Takam, you get an idea of how serious the fight is for AJ. Povetkin won't overwhelm Joshua with work rate, nor should we expect any flashy footwork, but Povetkin's experience and strength could draw Joshua into a tear-up. 2 world champions, gold medalists, and seasoned professionals. One man's final hurrah, another's quest for greatness. September 22nd, Joshua versus Povetkin.